And welcome everybody to another episode of the Cortex Group's Warhammer Custom Campaign. We've got our usual guests of Renyir, Lee, Dice, Holt, Ivan, Talbot, Nevin, and myself.
So in game, we
Kane.
just take on the names at all times.
Yeah. So
I refuse to talk to my I refuse to talk to my children unless they call me, by my full name. If I'll take Framling, I'll take Umilco, but I'm not talking to you until you call me my full name.
I will now start introducing myself as Kane, because that is my name. That would be silly. Right, not GM, obviously. That hurts so much. Instant suntan. Did you see his immediately go red there? It's so difficult to breathe. Right.
Such is the power of the joke.
Dear
viewers.
Oh, that looks a bit lumpy, doesn't it?
It does look a bit lumpy, mate.
It's not because I'm a pink Hulk. I haven't actually been able to see my elbow yet. That's interesting. Look at that. You see me? I've got a Klingon ridge on my arm. I showed Talbot that earlier and he went, I can sort of notice. What? That elbow looks normal.
I think the tendon pushed away from the actual bit.
Why has nobody pointed this out to me? I'd have been in hospital for Christ's sake.
I just didn't want to worry you.
Look at the state of my arm. What's that?
This is a man who's in the medical profession. Yeah, you'll be all right. It's just but a scratch.
Oh, the more you rotate it, the more shapes it produces. Oh,
probably should.
Oh, that's just sexy. Look at that bit of bone.
Probably shouldn't be doing that. That's probably lifelong injury and damage.
His arm just stops moving.
Yeah.
Now my watch is now stuck to me. It's going to stay there. So yes, I'm
waiting for it to be stuck like this.
That's just looking. I can't take my eyes off that now.
It's just going to be like, why didn't you tell me, man, Talbot? I could have done something about it.
Because I want to call you Duck Arm. Yeah, right. No, I'm pretty crestfallen now. I thought, I'll just walk it off. Cheers. Why is everybody lying about it? He's like the fifth person today. I went, does my elbow look alright? Yeah, you look fine. One person went, a bit of bruising. Bit of bruising?
It's the Black Knight method of triage. Nah, it is but a scratch.
One of the first things I was able to say when I got up was, your floor needs cleaning, as I was pulling bits of dirt off my face. While I'm down here, you need to hoover this. Yeah, 'tis but a scratch. I'll bite your knees off. Just kicked a cat.
Meanwhile, our medical professional downstairs is looking like, oh yeah, it looks really bad from here. It looks different from when you're close up.
Let me get my glasses.
We just don't
or
want
alternatively,
to panic.
I can't look at it. It's like, I'll tell him it's okay if he stops showing me it. Said the vicar of the chart.
That's never all right. What was I doing again? I forgot what I'm doing. No, that's what I was after. There we go. Perfect every time. Right, guys. I know we missed last week. There was some holidays and all that sort of stuff. We've got a couple of weeks. Good sessions. Quite, if there was a read up, it's. I think anybody that watched the last session will realise that you are heading into a place that is probably has an atmosphere of foreboding. It could be the growl that met Framling saying, "It knows we're here." Roar! But ultimately, for those that are tuning in and haven't watched the session from a couple of weeks back, Arnung staged a hostile takeover of Middenheim.
Hostile takeover? It's not a boardroom thing. Stabbed him?
No, he didn't. He hasn't actually got... Well, he has got blood on him, but that's only because they exploded. because Renyir stabbed him with his magical exploding knife.
That's right, yeah.
And of course,
Well, he
Arnung
was
is a bit
pointed at
concerned.
Leaf's pointy finger that did the damage.
Actually, that was actually Arnung, who's now worried that is it loaded? And Leaf just sat back casually going, "You're all fucking weird. That doesn't happen. Two people just blew up." So unbeknownst to all, Arnung had infiltrated Oberlander's crew with his own man, which would have been a great bloodless, from his point of view, overthrow of Oberlander and his people, except his man also died in the process of exploding.
Tragically.
Yeah, accident.
In an accident. Yeah.
After the Oberlander was stabbed through the back of the throat, Arnung's man blew up as a result. Then explained to everybody that his men had been infiltrating the city and had, in fact, at this point, managed to kill all of Oberlander's lieutenants except for the faceless man, his chief assassin, which was a bit concerning, as he hadn't been able to find him. At which point Leaf went, "Well, that's me." Arnung, I think, covered his surprise somewhat, quite nicely. Oh, okay. So there was that awkward moment. Right, what we need to do is hunt down this faceless man, and kill him. That's me.
He needs to die horribly.
We're friends.
He needs to. An example needs to be set.
Arnung
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
What?
Razor's
It was only a
sharp
couple
mind.
of hours ago.
Oh no! Wait a minute.
It's game time.
Yeah, true that.
Wait
true
a second. I've just done poos. Oh no!
I've done poopies. What? So Arnung went on to explain that he had over 200 men in the city now, taking over all of the businesses, because obviously, you've killed the lieutenants, and there will be a lot of people who will immediately be browbeaten. But there's also a considerable amount that goes into running an underworld within a city this large, and there will be a lot of people trying their hand at making their own empires, breaking away, seeing if there's an opportunity. And Arnung has spent his men have spent a considerable amount of time within the city, so they are busy at this point in time hunting down everybody and enforcing that Arnung is now the king of Middenheim, and also that he never would mix these people with the work that he does for the Order of the Stag. It's a separate enterprise. Ultimately, this, if you remember, I know for you guys it's obviously 2 weeks ago, but it has only been, say, I think at the point that you'd found that he'd walked back in from the information and the Oberlander thing to where you are now, has only been 2 or 3 hours. Because it was about 6 o'clock in the evening when Oberlander entered, so you are close to midnight at this point, so it's only been a few hours since Arnung's overthrow. Now, a couple of things to consider there. Like any transition, there will be competition, so blood will run in the streets. But Arnung hasn't brought footpads and cutthroats, cut purses to the city. He's brought soldiers and veterans who have fought in 2 different campaigns, 2 different wars, who have then entered the underworld under Arnung and his lieutenants. So they are a military organisation in effect, and that was what was always terrifying. Nordland was never part of the Underlord's plans. It was far too volatile. It's great, it's one thing to pay off the city's watch and be involved in tax evasion and various different things that the Underworld gets involved in. It's a completely different thing when you go into the wild north and try and take on a concerted large army that has has defended successfully against Skaven onslaughts and the Norsemen. So it was always left. Plus, Nordland doesn't really have what these large cities have. Nordland doesn't have a large city. It's good in timber and it's good in furs. But ultimately, Arnung's reputation and his men, his soldiers, and the sheer magnitude of it was always something to go, it's just not worth it. There's nothing there for us. Obviously, Arnung, you are now in a position where you've heard of these underlords and you are now part of something. At this stage, as you stand, on the precipice of the underway, it is far from your concerns. What is a concern that once you return to the surface is not only have you removed Oberlander, which was the chosen man of Herr Goebbels, the truly terrifying man that he is, and his reputation is not inflated by any means. And of course, Goebbels can produce 250 highly trained veteran knights in full plate mail, and he has done this before. He has also had access, while Leif was there, to men that have been able to effectively wipe the slate clean on the city. He has proven this. Leif lived through it, and Leif has advised Goebbels is the real deal. The thing that you've got to consider is, though, he will not by any means be able to react to the absence of Oberlander, because there's no communication. It will eventually filter through to him, but you're pretty sure that you could get away with it if it was just that. The problem is, the day before, you burnt down a sizable portion of the Freiburg, right beside the Ulrichsmann and just south of the Palace district.
That wasn't us.
Leif forgets conveniently that the fact that you've got a crazy tribesman, a 6'5" vagina face, and a child
Hey!
who were allowed to enter the city
Wait a minute,
sewers.
6'5" vagina faced child.
No, I should have put a comma in there, shouldn't I? oh, I'm definitely going to cut that. That's definitely going to be. A tribal 6'5"
That would
vagina
never have happened
faced
in Moria.
child. That's a hell of a description. He should be king. Give him the broken sword.
You have my sword and my bow, and oh, Christ, what's that?
We don't want to the likes of him. Oh, they brought him. Oh, they brought a 6'5" vagina-faced child," said Boromir.
One does not simply go into what's that?
Oh, that could go into. Where'd the Witch King go? He just took one look and went, "I'm not sure if I'm immune to that."
Oh God.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a different view to the roving eye. Is that eye looking at me? I can't tell. It's just
Is
like
it
a hairy
an
vagina face.
Oh, yeah,
So-
Lord. Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, to be fair, from Leaf's point of view, he is the most, if you remember, you would have been the most sort of like, oh yeah, we've got a bit of a problem, is Goebbels swiped up the knight commanders of the sewer jacks, and it won't take a lot for the right one to break. All of them will break, but one of them actually genuinely
will
can
break.
see.
They've already broke.
And he's
Yeah.
three of the guys. I mean, Leaf, obviously, you have got zero risk. You just poof, just disappear like smoke in the wind, like tears in the rain.
Like tears in rain. Yeah.
Tears in rain. Whereas these three are very distinctive. So it's only a matter of time. You're pretty sure that Maingold would have broken, given the description, and the reason that they'd have went to the sewer jacks is because you left the protective clothing at the bottom of the sewers, and it was found. So the speed with which Goebbels will react will be, as Leif is well aware and advised, he will go to Oberlander and say, sort this out now. And unfortunately that would then not happen. Goebbels is a very intelligent man, very astute, and he will take zero risks. It doesn't matter if he did it or not. Your description was used, he'll just get rid of you. He'll just wipe you from the board anyway, but he will be paused when he realises Oberlander is not responding to his normal communication hills. Either way, your time in the city instinctively was identified as, we have little to no time here. One way or another, we need to get out of here regardless, but we do have two particular things to deal with. One is the Moors Park, who are actually imposters. They are extremely dangerous in the sense of not so much combat. Yes, there's three hefty looking fellas, but they're not knife proof. It's what they stand for and their corruption level, what they can do, the damage they can do in converting and corrupting people to the worship of Ahalt the Drinker, a truly dark god, where all worship to him goes to Ivrig Sin, the eternal enemy, and from him to the void god Semnothei. They are clearly an extreme danger. Framling has said they need to die. They have to die. Meanwhile, of course, there is a void gate under the city, and that also, in itself, by definition, is extremely dangerous and must be closed. So your goals were, and this is not just for yourselves, but also for anybody watching, your goals were decided. The void gate must be closed. The Ahalt worshippers must be slain at all costs. There is nothing else more important at this point. Because any other potential enemies that were considered to be a corrupting influence and therefore a genuine threat to the Order of the Stag and to Framling and the Tal and the Empire at whole are before you, as it were, or already dead. As well as a lot of people that turned out not to actually genuinely be real threats, who were just technically threats to people. Warmonger as that, from Framling's point of view, was beneath his concern. Arnung also made it clear that once this business was done, he expects that there will be a parting of ways. He believes that his service to Tal and Framling would be done. He spent 40 odd years. He was a young man when he started. Well, he was taken on as an orphan. Leif, you're half his age, of course, but Arnung is pretty much said at that point when everybody exploded around him. When this is finished, we're done. We're moving apart. Obviously, from your point of view, he is an old man, and you kind of went, well, I understand that, and we'll discuss it later.
As in, you're going to walk away from a god. Okay, interesting.
Good luck with that.
Damn God.
Talking about dad.
the father of the gods. But of course, Framling, you were also Leif he basically reconfirmed that he is absolutely 100%, as the Order of the Stag was meant to be, fanatical about the work of Tal of the Order of the Stag, and he stands before Framling, from which the Stag was birthed from. Very much like Arnung was.
Really? I don't remember that.
Very much like 30 years ago. I'm just adding more words to it, but it was kind of what you were saying, wasn't it, Leif? I was being more poetic.
Yeah.
Because Arnung's like, fuck off. What other? Very quickly, Leif also produced half plate for Arnung to wear. That was pretty much the preparation. I don't think there was anything else. He has a lot of metal. Stick it on the
big hammer.
No, the idea there was a big hammer, but when mocked by Framling about how to swing said big hammer, Leif was also a little bit partial towards trying to get a pike down there.
That's right. That's right. Let's take a 16-foot pole arm down into a sewer.
But he went with a half spear stroke javelin instead because he just thinks keep that arm length. Fair enough. That, especially the sewer. How do you get past a pointy thing? He took down a javelin with him. Arnung is in half plate, and then there's Renyir in his pajamas, pissed on whiskey. Where are we going? Yeah, we're going to the park again.
Blinding powder and 2 hammers.
Oh yes, that's it. You went down with 2 hammers.
And blinding powder.
And blinding powder. And the final thing was Nevin saying, as Framling, I think Arnung broke the bars, human bars that were put across the Dawi causeway, as it were, the underground tunnel into the underway. You sensed something beneath you. It's still at a distance away, and as you warned them, as they stood there, you give warning to this. There is something down here, and it is aware of us. And then distant growl echoed up. And there we are. I shall hand over to you. Oh.
Like it.
Actually, crap.
I do need to get up for a second. Bear with me.
Timing.
It's perfect. Yeah. Just a small nervous wee.
every time it growls, Tom is like,
Oh, just got out myself. It's going to just come back with a towel and sit on it. Oh.
I'm back.
the camera doesn't lie.
Let's go.
The wild beast has come up. And so has Freya. Oh, that's nice. I don't know if sound suppression did its job there. I just
Didn't hear anything.
I just got an FU thrown at me from the other side of the room. Right.
Ah.
So as the growl echoes up through the tunnel, you realise that the growl is distant, and it has travelled up to you. Obviously you're at one end of a particular tunnel, but you know that Framling, the Dawi underway, at the time that they tunnelled up through the Fauslag was many and varied. The growler has come from below, but clearly it will not be possible to identify exactly where this comes. It'll just echo throughout the caverns, but the growl was sufficiently distant away for you to know that something down there, obviously, is that you can sense that these guys have now heard, but there was no imminent moment danger. The growl wasn't literally at your feet or around the corner. It was a distance growl.
Well,
it was very weak when it got back to you.
Well, we need to progress, obviously. It's a maze of tunnels down here, is it?
It is.
We suspect.
It is, yes.
Right. Okay. Well, let's head on. Let's get down to do what we've come to do.
So we're clear. We take care of the humans. You take care of that.
If you think you can handle it, feel free to join in, but I suspect that's going to be my task.
Now, does anyone know where we're going?
No.
I reckon we should just follow the sound.
Well, the sound's coming from everywhere. We'll just keep on progressing. And when we come to any intersections, I'll have a think and a feel, and I'll give you some directions.
Okay.
Understood.
The Dawi underway itself is not, if you remember, the cramped, rough-hewn rock that you would expect. Not only was this the main one of several, but this was the main point that they breached the plateau, and as a result, and it did take over 100 years to get the city into a recognisable state as a fortified city, as it were, for the human population. It was a long time before those causeways were built on the outside. As a result, the Dawis rebuilt, restructured, and turned these into effectively a dwarf underworld. Where you are is clearly cut. You can see it's been reinforced with stone. You can see the clear lines, and yes, there has been over 1,000 years since this was done, but typical of the Dawi work beyond some of the the more natural sort of erosion that you would expect over time. These tunnels are in very good nick. They're also raised and widened because humans were using this 1,000 years ago. They were bringing mules through, carrying their supplies, their foodstuffs, that sort of thing. So even Arnung can stand at full height, and you can all four, if you wish, stand shoulder to shoulder at this stage. No doubt there will be lesser walkways, lesser tunnels, they will be smaller potentially in other areas, but those that were used by the humans have been magnificently created. Even to this day, still better than a human stonemason's work.
Okay, so
I'm assuming at this point, Framling, you are maintaining these wisp lights as well.
yes,
So that
yeah.
nobody has to walk around with lanterns and that sort of thing.
No, they need hands for hammers. Hammer hands.
So with that in mind, as I say, this is effectively you are looking at a strangely disorientating, almost large, very well made tunnel of carved stone, large brickwork almost. Is there any particular way that you are heading down? There is a perceptible lowering, decline.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Stay in the main tunnel, and then any fork, any direction, any sense, then move off towards, head towards it, basically.
Are you sticking as a group, walking shoulder to shoulder? You're not that tight. You just can walk spread out. Are you walking down the line? Are you wanting somebody to scout ahead? What's your
I
sort of
think
the way that you're moving?
probably we should have a scout ahead, because it's not just going to be this thing
Blend off
down in the
into
bowels.
Docks in front.
Strange enough, I'm going to go out again for a second. Halt, you have frozen. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
back. Perfect.
No, you're back.
Frozen again.
Oh,
We can hear you, but your camera's freezing. I'll just do a check.
couldn't hear anything of that there.
Oh, okay.
All systems go.
Can I just say everybody just sort of make a hand gesture, say everyone's moving, perfect. That's a head. Right, you're losing a hand. Right. So, obviously, yeah, so what was that? So, Framling said, I think we could do with a scout. Renyir, did you just volunteer yourself?
Yeah, I said I'll go off in front.
Okay.
Been drinking.
Uh,
Volunteered. Clearly, he's been drinking.
the child's drunk again. The initial drop down as you all move along, the Renyir, you got to remember that these wisps are giving as much of a vantage light as they can, but like anything, there will be a drop-off point. These are not, these are still more localized. Renyir can quite easily, and will do several times, especially if you don't call him back. Renyir can move down this ahead of you. That there will be some darkness between you, and he will become you can see him in the light ahead of you, but there will be darkness. If not, it would kind of defeat the purpose of a scout, because he'll get surprised pretty much a second just before you do. So Renyir becomes a glowing wisp ahead of you. Leaf, are you happy with that? You just are you sticking close to Framling? Are you sticking close to Arnung? Do you have the your javelin? What are you doing? What's happening? What's going through your mind? Not physically your mind. What are you actually?
I'm probably going to be
seen?
at the back, rear guard.
Okay. Couple of feet behind Framling.
Yeah,
5, 10 foot.
not far. Just basically kind of because obviously I've got a pointy stick. If anything comes up behind,
and if anything gets past these guys, or expectedly gets close to Framling, you can, within a couple of steps and an extended weapon,
indeed
fend them off. Understood. Arnhem?
Next to Framling.
Next to Framling. Okay.
Just behind Framling.
Framling's eyes are getting wider every moment. He's like, wait, so I've got Renyir, and about 20 foot ahead of me is my only actual frontal.
And whereas everyone, I'm going to take up a defensive position somewhere in Northland, right?
Yeah, all he hears, then Framling looks like a pincushion.
All right, I'll go on ahead. Not too far ahead. I'm just in front of Framling.
You walk within arm distance, yeah? You're close enough to actually, and Leaf's a few foot behind, still very much a defence and or threat situation. Renyir's off ahead. As you all walk down, obviously Renyir before you yourselves, you can't help but notice certain details about the tunnel itself. The old brass or bronze looking in this light tracks that were well used, and dust has pretty much covered the ruts in the ground where wagons would have been pulled up. You could see there are metal rungs in the side of the walls where rope originally, now has long since rotted away, would have looped between them and would have also allowed for anybody securing heavy loads. And you can see all the sort of safety respects. What you can't see is any support beams that are very common in even human houses, never mind bridges and tunnels. And you can all feel, especially living on, who spent so much time out in the forests, even in the cities itself, but you spent a lot of your early informative years, you can feel the the oppressiveness of the mountain as you go deeper. You can feel it above you. It's not impacting on your ability to do your job, but you are consciously aware of this, of the city so far above, and all four of you would be at this point feeling not so much Renyir, but you're still going to be conscious of it, of being in an almost alien environment, out of your comfort zone. There is nowhere that you can see along this deep track as it falls deeper into the Fauschlag where there is anywhere to step. There is nowhere to go. The walls are visible to your left and right, and the shaft very quickly disappears into darkness ahead of you as you dig and continue deeper. There is no other sound except for your own breathing and the odd footfall. You are, as a group, remarkably silent, either through a long time of learning to be or through actual training and natural ability. There is no sound of dripping water, and the only thing you are aware of is the odd sound of the wind, as it picks up perhaps through an unseen crack in the stone, as the natural ventilation of the Dawi works are basically still operating.
So there's still a breeze down here. It's still venting.
Yes.
It's not like, but it's still an oppressive sewer, I guess is the best word for it. Yeah.
So this was never a sewer. You've already passed through the sewers. You have actually passed into what was originally the main causeway from the 500-foot forest bottom up through. Yes, it will meander because you can't just have a 500. Even the Dawi wouldn't have a 500-foot shaft. It would, the mountain would really have a problem with that. But this is the main exit causeway.
But is the sewer material got in here? Because it was only a grate. It wasn't like it was walled off.
Yeah, exactly. But it's been 6 months since there'd been any massive rainfall, and the sewer, the entrance to this was off to one side of the main sewers. There was only a minor sewer that you had to that you walk through. But the main point being is, though there is evidence of that sort of debris, it is also suspiciously clean. In the sense of, you're remarkably yes, we can see the evidence of the sewage when it's overlapped here, but somebody's been here.
Yeah, or something has dragged itself through the... and cleaned it. It pulled itself through the walls.
The light of Renyir starts getting closer. As you approach him, you can see that you have several lesser and far tighter entrances, two to the right, close to each other. One almost going in a direct flat line to your right, another going at an angle and further down, and one opposite to the left. The left one is clearly, even from here, as you close on it and look, the left doesn't look like it's been disturbed in a very long time. However, the two to the right are. Both show footprints, old mud footprints where they've stained into the stone and have been left to sort of dry. That sort of browner part where debris has been put there. Itself doesn't make sense because there is no clear mess or mud or debris for someone to have stepped in first to get this far. But both the right pathways, they're about half the size in width of this one. One is a little bit more crude in the sense of it looks like it was definitely dwarven built, both of them are, but one looks like it hasn't weathered the one that goes directly to your right hasn't weathered anywhere near as well as the main causeway or the one that angles downwards and to the right.
So these are literally just side tunnels off the main tunnel. Is that what you're saying? The main
Correct,
tunnel's
yes.
still going down, still winding its way down. Obviously, it will exit somewhere in the forests below. And then we've got two to the right.
Yep.
One's an estate.
Yep.
And one's not. And then there's one. Did you say there's one on the other side?
Yes, the one to the left. The one to the left looks like something. It looks like a tunnel that's been basically left in neglect for 1,000 years, and there is no clear markings, scuff marks. You can see the fungus is growing there undisturbed, but the two to the right clearly show signs of disturbance.
Right. And is the one that's more angled down than the other?
Correct. Yes. So on your right hand side, if you imagine you've come down through the main shaft. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that goes direct, and that is
Mhm.
an estate. That's in a bit. You can see that there's
Right.
there's damage to the walls, that sort of thing. And then
Right.
there's one coming down like that, which both show evidence of usage.
Right. Well, we'll go for the one that's going down.
Okay.
Carry on heading down that way.
Roll your perception dice. What?
Keep moving.
What was that?
Keep moving. Forward.
You give a moment for Renyir to move on ahead, so that he can continue on scouting. At this point in time, it will, like I say, it's half the width. There is still plenty of space for three of you to walk abreast, but I presume that you continue in the same positioning that you had.
Yes.
The markings, the disturbance continues. The evidence of usage, as it were, of this tunnel is all around you. It's not being hidden at all. There is a smell that starts as you go deeper. There is a smell that is very, it's initially quite subtle. You're not quite sure, is it us? Is this something? And it gets stronger. Initially, you are all quite of the same opinion individually that it's just the smell of water seeping into the wall, the soil, perhaps the fungus. But then you start picking up almost simultaneously as you cross an area. You not visibly. You don't visibly cross an area, but as all three of you walk past, you become aware of a sweet smell. Not the smell of rotting flesh, sickly sweet, sort of decay. It's more a smell of an artificial smell, something that you've smelt around the perfumery area, where people are selling their scents to the aristocracy, these rose oils for their water, that sort of thing. It's clearly man-made. It is becoming stronger as you go, and completely out of sorts with the area and location.
All right. Something to note, but are we? I've just mentioned if we're not under not a tannery, but you've got no sense of where we are in respect to where this smell could be coming from.
That would be. Sorry, who are you asking?
Leaf.
Leaf.
No, that's not from upstairs.
Right. Okay. Oh well, just something to note. Carry on.
Renyir, I'm assuming that you continue on. Are you being more cautious in this tighter confines?
I'm being more cautious. I've got my blades out.
Your blades. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you closer to the group? Would you make a conscious effort to be closer to the group in this sense?
Yeah, I kind of thought I was at this point because it was a small.
Right. So they'd see you put your hammers away and actually pull out your daggers.
Yeah.
Okay. So you clearly see Renyir as he's moving along and possibly moving from a half crouch and then standing and moving around. You see him looking around. And then you see him take his these two light warhammers that he's been wielding confidently. He suddenly latches them to his belt, and you see him. you see the glint of his blades appear in his hands.
All right. Okay. Well, not knowing why, I'll take my axe out.
Okay.
I'll slowly start moving forward.
Well, in which case, you guys, unless you will note that you start catching up on him because you haven't lowered your speed. You see that he's no longer maintaining.
What is it? What do you
Your
see?
voice clearly is heard by Renyir. You can clearly hear his voice. There is no sound here, and it carries easily to you.
There's a door up ahead. I'll make my way slowly to the door. Is there a lock on the door, like a keyhole or anything?
No.
No. I'll step to the left-hand side of the door.
Ahead of you, he's still at a bit of a range. He is at this point, though. You can see the detail of him. He's still a darker shape within the. You aren't in a nimbus of light. You're not in a ball of light. You've just got lights that float nearby. He vanishes. Yeah, you see them disappear to the left, but there is still a dim glow ahead of you, indicating that these wisps are still close by. But he and most of the light that goes vanishes to the left-hand side. From your distance, you can't see what's happened.
We do see him just vanish, or we see him step in.
You see, so he's ahead of you, and then he just and the light passes with him, causing a darker, ahead of you. It becomes darker as he steps to the side. You just see him just disappear from where you are. It effectively looks like he just vanishes into the wall.
Oh, well. I want to see where he's gone.
None of this. Oh, well, at least we tried.
Yeah.
Okay, you pick up the pace?
Yes.
Yeah.
As you do so, you could see that closing on the area, the thing that obviously caused Renyir to step into effectively from that range, looks like the wall it opens up ahead of you. There is no visible door. It's the tunnel itself empties into a room, or at least a chamber of some sort. Stepping in, you can see Renyir is close to a small shrine. The shrine is very crude. You can see that there are some very old stone figurines upon it. There's an old tarnished brass dish between them. You recognise the symbols to Ulrich and Tal equally, at a time when the ancestor gods were the only gods. And you can see this area is though not large. It is one of the many shrines that the Dawi built these areas for the human allies, their friends, to be able to worship. As a lot of these guys would have spent a lot of time. The humans did help excavate. They would have spent a lot of their time in the darkness as they were tunneling up.
All right. So it's old and hasn't been used in God knows how long.
Yeah.
There's no votive offerings on the plate.
No, nothing. There's no sense that it has been used, possibly in nearly 1,000 years. But it is a step back in time when the ancestor gods were worshipped in a more crude, brutal fashion. Even by your standards of today, a far more dangerous time.
Right. Okay.
Nothing else in this room?
No, the corridor continues on in the same direction and vein and angle that you were originally going for. It's about the area. It's the gap area. It's not perfectly square by any means, but from entrance to exit, it's about 8-9 foot estimate, and then continues on in the same dimensions.
Okay. Carry on heading forward.
Again, you allowed them to get a bit of range.
Yes. Get a bit of range to then follow on.
As soon as you step through, the echo seems to come from above and below.
I was expecting Renyir just to disappear.
I was busy typing that. Leaf is now in front.
I've
With
snuck
wings.
back to the pub.
He's telling all war stories about how his three mates just disappeared on holiday.
So yeah, clearly that made Arnung jump.
All right.
We keep going. I keep
Yeah, press
Renyir in my sights. I don't want to let him to get too far ahead, so I'll lose sight of him.
Okay. Renyir, I'm assuming, are you feeling still quite confident, or are you slowing down? Are you
Something
feeling
behind
the
one.
need to be close?
No, I'm walking at a slower pace now.
I need light.
Quietly.
He's that far back. I
Yep,
can't
sure.
see anything.
Leaf, clearly,
You can see the pub.
they've taken. Well, they're saying something along those lines, effectively ignoring you.
Do you not hear us?
What did you say, Leaf?
I said there's something behind her. I need some light.
Oh, why didn't you
Oh.
say?
I did.
We didn't hear you.
Speak up.
I'll try and I'll send some light down towards where he is.
Renyir, hold your position.
As the light closes on Leaf. Leaf, I'm assuming you've turned, have you?
Yeah, I've turned. I've readied me javelin.
The light shines, and the moment that it approaches Leaf and passes over him is the space of a heartbeat. But as it does so, you see what appears to be blood red veins, a muscular arm, and like taloned hand, like or claw, all around him. Multiple bodies are all around him. They're behind him. They're between you. They are that close, and then you see a wall of them ahead. And as the light approaches, you see that these creatures appear in the walls. They're reaching out for him, and then they go back into the walls themselves. You are aware of the sound of something wet, something slapping in in mud or slime. And the light, as it goes past, you can see they are all around him. Leaf, you can't help but take a step back as the entire corridor behind is full of these creatures being closer. You see they're blind, they've got lipless mouths that open up in a ferocious level of long, sharp pointed teeth. You can see spines running down their back, prehensile tails that are barbed, and as the light approaches and hits them, they just immediately, soundlessly spring back, but they spring back through solid wall. There is no evidence of them at all. There is no ichor, there is no slime, there is no blood or nothing around you, as if they weren't there.
Did we all just see that?
I was looking back.
I couldn't tell.
I'm a little concerned.
Run, you fool!
A little concerned. A little bit of poo
I'll
just
take
came
one.
out.
I think the group just got a bit closer.
Yeah. Closed ranks a bit there.
Quick, come through the door. Let's move.
Come on.
Just visualize this like a Scooby-Doo moment. We just sitting through the door.
I mean, literally, as the light comes along, you can't see what's above and behind because you're fixated in the darkness. And so they obviously And then you go, huh! You can't see the corridor of all this thing, and it's gone. You step in fully into the room itself. All three of you close. Instinctively, the three, all of you are aware that Renyir is still not actually right beside you. He's still ahead. He's stepped out of the room, heading further down, and he hasn't come back.
Right. We move on through the room. We all
Yeah.
stay close.
Staying close, looking in both directions, you approach the exit.
My sword's drawn.
You're
Right.
drawing both of the Victoria blades that you carry.
Yes. Yes.
You've drawn. So you've got your javelin. Have you also drawn your Victoria blade leaf?
Yes.
Okay. Framling axe out, steps
Mhm.
forward. Sorry, Renyir, you're going to have to talk, mate. You're taking too long to type.
Yeah.
This is an action scene, and I'm waiting for a paragraph, apparently.
I was waiting for it and see how close it was. No, it's just
As you step out of the room, you see Renyir putting a blade. As he does that, Arnung, you feel wet spray, warm spray hit your face, just across you. You see a barbed tail, something like spear-like membrane slash across Renyir's face. At the last moment, he steps to one side. The only thing saving himself from having his throat completely penetrated, it is a surface wound. It's deep, and you get sprayed by the arterial blood. But as you do, all three, there's greater light, and this tail, this barbed protrusion, this membrane, vanishes into the darkness ahead of him. Renyir, the blow hits you enough that it almost spins you around. Instinctively, you're spinning away from it, but you realise that moment of putting your blade away was that moment that was too long. You realise that instinctively moving to that threat would have been better, and you have only just survived. But even then, you are well aware of this pain, this slash to the face, though you have no idea of how serious it is.
Yeah. Is it still there, or am I not hearing anything?
You hear nothing.
Is he on his feet?
He's against the wall. He regains his feet very quickly, no doubt, unless you want to maintain a crouch.
I'll be keeping a crouch this time as I head forward.
I'll approach Renyir, put my hand on him. You alright, boy?
Good to go.
Do we
It's
sense?
closer.
Are we still in the tunnel, or are we in
You
a
are.
bigger room? Or
No, this is you leaving that small shrine room. You've only taken one step
oh,
further
right.
south,
Into
and Renyir got attacked from in front.
right. Okay, so send those will-o'-the-wisps down the tunnel, like almost like illuminating the tunnel as it goes down.
What, all of them?
No, I create more.
Oh.
Don't leave me in the dark.
Ha!
Just checking.
Shit!
Like push out past where Renyir would have been. Like.
Yep. As you do, all of you see that the corridor ahead, very similar to what was in front of Leaf, is just a blockage of creatures fighting over each other. Their claws, teeth, everything just burning itself to your eyes. But as the light closes on them, you see they just meld into the walls without a trace.
I'm going to have a pray at the shrine. A little bit rattled.
There is no sound. Everything is still absolutely still.
Right. The only way we survive this is if we stick together. Whatever that is, darkness is our enemy. We need to stick to the light.
We've got the lights on.
You have now.
Uh,
Framling is pushed light. I'm assuming from that not only have you pushed it far forward, you've also pushed it far back.
Yeah. I just want to
Yeah.
create like almost like turn the lights on, but
Yeah.
not. I don't. It doesn't like. It's not like 400 foot down the road, but like push it out.
The more that you push it out, not only the more you have to produce, the more that it takes your
Yeah.
presence of mind to do so.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not like sort of like clink, and it's suddenly the entire tunnels of Moria suddenly dink, the lights are on. But it's enough that sort of like we're talking like 50 foot. Enough that it's a spear cast, so it's something that you could throw a spear. Not something that's like, what am I looking at? What's down that corridor?
Okay. Just in case you haven't noticed, Leaf, Ivan, keep an eye on your WhatsApp.
Okay.
That's for everybody, obviously. Sometimes it doesn't work if nobody notices a private message. Oh, why did we all die? Well, Talbot was too busy staring into the camera lovingly.
What?
You continue on down the corridor, obviously a lot
Yeah.
closer. The need for a scout, no doubt, is somewhat minimised by the fact that if he goes too far ahead, it looks like he's going to suffer painful instant death. The light itself seems to be keeping all evidence of these things at bay, and yet will also attract anything potentially unknown or unseen.
Oh.
The only two that seem to have had, bear in mind that both Arnung and Framling, you have not had any evidence. You've just seen Leaf and Renyir react. There is nothing at all that you have that would indicate what that threat was, what Leaf or Renyir were aware of if they'd seen something, but both their reactions seem to have been that they had little to no warning. Perhaps it was instinctive.
So we didn't see the creatures.
You saw them only when the light
Right, okay.
made contact with them and pushed them back.
Did they all look the same, or did they have like different?
They all look the same.
All right. This time I'll take out our blades then, because I was originally going to throw something at them before, but I'll take out both knives this time.
Well, instinctively, well, not instinctively. I mean, there would be the mind, will cross your mind is that if this light's keeping them at bay, all you need to do is, if you want to test that theory, is go to the edge of the light.
Yeah, I was planning to.
Stick something through. Ow!
Are you going to pick up the pace and move to the edge of? I mean, everybody's moving. Are you going to go the 30, 40 foot ahead to the edge? Or do you want to just stand in the safe zone and just throw your knife down into the darkness?
I'll go and pick up the pace. So I'll head up to the edge of the light. I'll step on through.
Right unexpectedly, Renyir picks up the pace and steps out of the light ahead of you.
Nutter.
Renyir.
Still here.
Step back.
Only because I can't type that
light.
fast. I'm still here. You're fucking not.
Is he still here?
Give us a second. I'm one-handed.
It only says still here.
His anticipation is killing me.
Memory.
Not as much as him.
Slash.
What a cockhead. Why would you would you go into the dark? I just said everybody stay in the light where it's safe.
Good
I'm
plan.
just gonna run off into the edge and into the darkness. Who the hell do you think you are, John Rambo?
He shouts, not saying John Rambo, but some equally random theatre name. What do you think you are?
Yeah.
Constant Drakenfels?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
All right.
Who do you think you are? Billy Big Balls?
You realise, Arnung, that Renyir obviously had some second thoughts about what his plan was, whatever that plan was, which he didn't relay to you, as he wasn't Tom Cruising it.
Good old Tom Cruise.
And I shall apologise, the person waiting for the message I didn't send it to. The person that got that message accidentally, ignore it.
Yeah, look at like, what?
Yes.
How did that happen? That's so random.
I've turned into a
Oh.
small boy. How did that happen?
That's not for me. Oh, come on. I'm sitting there with me wavy finger in the dark.
There was obviously in this particular episode, this is where we have adverts. We've just
Hmm.
been bought by by the BBC.
Yeah.
You see,
Who don't know
Renyir
that?
dive into the darkness, and suddenly it's tenor for women. La, 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 la.
Do you suffer from vaginal dryness? What? That advert just gets me like, why do I need to know about this?
Is that an actual advert?
Yes.
It is an actual advert, yeah.
Holy crap.
You never know when you need it. Sure that is.
A wet vagina.
That's what I was going to say.
The opposite of that advert. Well, you never know when you need a wet vagina. Says vagina face.
No, the 15-year-old. No, it's the
What?
6'5".
Stop. You never know when you need a wet vagina. No, a 15-year-old. Pack it in, mate.
No.
You're done.
This is taking a really.
Arnung doesn't survive this episode. He's
This
lost
is not
his shit.
what I was talking about. I was referring to your slip up earlier.
Slip up his wet vagina. What?
I'm glad that we avoided the age limit there as well at that point.
Put those two together.
What? It's not helping.
You can only
Are you finished this WhatsApp message yet? Or
Yes. It just got a bit confusing because the person I meant to send it to suddenly thought that the message I was saying that it went to the wrong person. They thought it was them I was talking to, so they didn't answer back either. But the person that I did send it to accidentally did answer. Magic. Right. Renyir suddenly moves at a speed unexpectedly before you can react. He disappears into the darkness. You hear the sound of metal hitting stone, and then absolute silence.
what? Boy. I'm glad there's a instant rush to check on his whereabouts.
Well, I'm guessing we're still moving forward,
yeah, we are still moving forward.
and the lights are moving forward. So I'm not moving ahead of the lights. I mean,
The
that
light,
would be stupid.
the light goes past the part where he entered the darkness. You continue
Is that
on.
Oh, we keep going.
Is there any sign of him?
No.
Sign of a knife? Sign of, we heard something being thrown? Oh.
Blood.
You pass another 40 odd foot of walking before you see his blade lying flat on the ground.
Pick it up. Is there any
Okay.
blood on it?
No.
Pick it up.
And there's no sign. Check the walls. There's no sign of.
No, nothing. There's no signs of a scuffle. There is no. There's nothing. There was nothing. No evidence of anything except this blade. You can see where it's scored across the stone, and that would have indicated the sound. Slightly scuffing the surface.
And this is a clean tunnel, as it were. There's no doors. There's nothing.
Straight tunnel, nothing that you can see.
There's no alcoves. There's. We'll look around later.
There's a scuff on the wall.
No.
Oh.
Like I said, there was some slight scuffing where the blade clearly hit the wall, which is the sound of metal hitting stone. The blade hit the wall, and you can see where it hit the wall and then continued on its path until it landed on the floor where you found it.
And that's just a solid wall.
Correct.
We're pressing on.
But what choice do we have?
Yeah, we have to press on. He's not here.
There's no sign of his death, but he's clearly gone.
Absolute idiot. Idiot!
Continuing on down the corridor itself, you are all pretty close to each other, but the light does give you a good 40-foot gap before and behind you. The light ahead of you shows a opening. The opening itself, the door is quite... there is an archway but no door. The archway is of carved stone, and from here you can see the icons, the carvings of the dwarven language that are carved into this doorway. Bear in mind that in 50% of the time this is the exit point. But these carvings are across this sort of door lintel that's been carved in, and therefore by definition has made the door thinner. You can easily pass through two at a time, but in comparison to the corridor.
Yeah, let's have a look in here.
Do it.
You, as you step through, you are all hit by a wave of the sickly sweet smell, again quite strong. However, before and around you, you can see thick membrane, gristle, coats the walls, thinning it out, almost making this square tunnel rounded. It's along the floor and along the ceiling. It's a mix of white and red, and you can see blood moving through large capillaries, almost like looking upon a human skin at very close, very high, much larger scale. It's almost like an artery.
And that's completely covering this entire room that we've just moved through.
This room is large, and you are coming in at its central area. The room itself expands well beyond the 40-foot range of the light, which it spreads out. The light spreads out obviously in an even sort of penetration into this room. It is a very large room, but also, as you would expect underground, a sense of largesse of coolness. It instead is oppressively warm.
Right.
If you touch the membrane, what does it feel? The wall.
It feels leathery, if anything, but it just feels like taut skin. You can, it reacts to the touch. As if you were touching on skin itself. It is you can see this close that there are veins within this taut membrane.
Right, I think we should get out of this room and go back to the main corridor. I don't think there's. I don't know what this is, but I don't see.
Should we stab it?
No. No.
I thought we were down here to pick a fight.
Have you seen anything like this before, Framling?
No, I haven't. Let me have a think.
So this is just in the room. There's no way past it.
So basically, whereas this is obviously what was designed initially would have been a large square room, these membrane-like curtains are making chambers and corridors within this large room. They are almost artificial walls.
What are you thinking, Framling?
There are several tunnels ahead of you, but no indication of which way to go. You are all aware in this moment that you can't so much. You're not hearing anything that you've heard before. What you are aware is or shadows, things moving, casting their shadows because of the light around them. The skin is almost opaque, but not quite, and things flicker, animal-like, low to the ground, four-legged. You see out the corner of your eye a tail, and something moves, but it's too quick as you turn.
We should definitely
Okay.
set this on fire.
Let's. I'll look at that lintel that you can see.
You
Or can I still see the
You're
lintel?
still well within the light. You can easily step back out of the door and look up at it.
And read it out.
Actually, read out
says-
exactly what the runes say.
Yeah, what to say? This. Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
All right. So, if I'm pronouncing this, Grungri will show you the way.
As it does so, you see light blaze throughout the chamber. Hidden by this membrane, by these mucus sacs and this skin layer, are large brass or iron hanging baskets that were very much out of sight. They blaze with light, and this fire immediately chars and burns into this membrane around. You are all aware of this screeching, this keening sound that seems to rent the air all around you, but no more so than directly ahead, where there is a sudden flurry of movement. You see that these creatures that you saw in the darkness are able to maintain more in the light, but you see their bodies are bubbling, they're burning, they're blackening in the light that you've caused, made further as these lights seem to go just move across this entire chamber. This chamber is huge. It is a massive chamber. Framling, you have no memory of the Dawi creating such a chamber the last time you were here, but there was a few centuries between.
But it's definitely dairy built. This is a
yep.
right. Okay.
The combination of these fires and Framling, you sense the runes. Obviously, the power is on a very primeval, a very ancient method. It is not the magic of of the later days. And you can sense this sort of wave of magic come up. It invigorates you. The lights around you that you've created light blaze even brighter. And where they touch, where this fire is closest, this membrane bubbles and bursts. There is blood freely flowing all around you. The sounds of slithering, any noises that you have heard become more frantic. You hear now the sounds of claws. You can hear the sounds of hissing and gurgling all around, but mainly directly ahead of you.
All right, guys, brace yourself. This thing might be able to get through the light.
Fire seems to work.
Fire?
Yeah.
Well, light seems to work. There's no fire down here.
No, the place is on fire.
Yeah, no. When you spoke those words, fires erupted in these big blazes.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you mean yeah. Right. Let's move forward.
Are these fires movable?
No, they are these big
Massive.
metal things. They're in these dwarven
It's just
statues.
like braziers, and then yeah. Let's move. We'll move forward.
Moving forward as you do, these fires have given a unmovable light source that permeates the entire room. Your light is a clearer, whiter light, and it still continues forward with you. Where these creatures are caught against the membrane and against the wall, you see them clearly as their skin bubbles away. They literally boil down into masses of bubbling mucus, but before they do so, their bones explode, and you see evidence that these bones are almost human, but somehow changed.
Yep.
But they are sightless creatures. They are ferocious creatures. They're about the size of a large dog, but twice as long. You can see that their front and back paws are handles almost, but elongated fingers that punch out through their skin into these big rending claws that are, when they're not on the membrane, on the stone, you can hear them scratching. Their tails seem prehensile and they are bobbed. They are completely blind. There is no evidence of sight whatsoever. But predominantly, you can see even at their joints, at their elbows, their knees, these wicked side-like bone protrusions. In the last moments of each one caught in the light, unable to get away, before these bones seem to explode as if under much greater heat than you're feeling, though it is warm. Again, you get the impression that you're looking at a femur. You're looking at human bones. The skin, as it melts away from the skulls, is human.
Right. So this is these. I'm talking to the guy. This, you can see that this is the effect of this. These gods, these dark northern things that we need to destroy. Let's pick up the pace. Let's move further forward.
You don't have to tell me twice. And pick up the pace.
Continuing on ahead, Arnung, you are slightly ahead. Leaf has taken your position against Framling. Both of you are somewhat overwhelmed as to the actual threat to Framling around you is everywhere, and you are hyper alert to what's going on. Arnung, ahead of you, you can see where the membrane is its thickest. You can clearly see a stone archway. It is not in a wall. It is not part of a door. It stands alone. At the base of this large archway, you can see another brass bowl. But this brass bowl, there's something about it. There's something that you reel against. It's almost, you feel nausea build up in you as you look upon it. Strange icons are carved all around it. It seems to be pointed. It just seems to be unnatural. You have come across void things before, and you immediately know that this is created or at least corrupted by the void. In the center of it, you can see a small, slight shape, completely cocooned in membrane. It seems to pulse around this small shape, but you can clearly see arms and legs.
Human arms and legs.
Correct.
Framling, what on earth is that?
Am I within?
Yeah. You catch up enough to have seen
Right.
it as he says it.
It's
I approach it.
get him out. It's Renyir.
All right, okay.
Okay, well, yeah, instantly.
Oh,
I was trying to get him out through his head.
awkward.
So you're diving into the bowl. You have to climb into the bowl.
Yeah.
Right, we'll have to climb
Yeah.
into the ball.
It's not difficult. It's just you'd have to cross a barrier. You have to make a point of stepping into this bowl of brass with its icons. Leaf, again, you feel this terrible urge of nausea, a pain and pressure behind the eyes. Everything about these carvings it just stands against everything you stand for. Again, you have come across elements of the void before, but neither of you have felt such strength.
All right, in and out as fast as possible then. I'll just drag them out.
Okay, as you both dive forward, Arnung, I don't know what you were thinking of, but you say quickly, Leaf, just grab this cocoon. It is attached by two very large arteries. You have to just cut them, and blood fountains into the bowl. And you can see it pumping as if you've just cut a main artery from a heart. You grab the cocoon well before you've pulled him out and drag him out of it. He slams into the ground with a wet, sloppy sound. You are both covered in this blood around your knees and legs. You quickly cut the membrane, and Renyir comes out. His arms are quite securely sort of held in place by this, and he is covered in this slime, as if he is or was in a birthing sack. He is covered, his hair is matted to him, it's in his eyes, it covers his mouth. You can see there is some very angry welts on the skin that's visible. You can also see where some of the leather armour that he was wearing has become blackened and is thinned out, and it almost, some of it seems to wash away from him in a slurry. There is, as you cut him open, of liquid blood, pus spreads out all over the floor. You can't get away from it. Framling, you feel it wash across your feet.
Right. Is he still alive? Has he shown signs of life?
For both of you, he's not. You're both close enough. You've cut him. What are you doing? He is literally just like that, and it just goes all this mucus and crap just washes all over you, and his arms are still there, and like I say, it's thick enough that you can't even see the details of his lips. He's just covered in this thick slime.
I give him a slap.
Yeah, I was saying, give
You
him a
take
little,
turns slapping him.
just tap him on the cheek, trying to bring him round.
Well, Leaf steps forward, gives him a slap, you give him a tap on the face, and then decide to actually take this thick covering that's blocking his eyes, nose and mouth and pull it away from him. As he does so, you can see it's in his mouth, it's in his nose, it comes out thick, drool and pus filled, and after you pull out effectively about a foot of it, he suddenly goes and he just starts vomiting. And you hear him go, and then he chokes, and he's coughing up, and he's just bringing forward this vile bile. The smell is thickly offensive. It is enough to make you gag.
I stick him in the recovery position.
In doing so, you help him produce or bring out the rest of this. He starts to become conscious clearly as you've put him in the recovery position, but he instinctively, almost panicked, he sort of gets on his hands and knees and you just see him convulsing, and it's just coming out, and he tries to breathe, his more comes until it seems that it's all, he's vented all of this vileness, and he sort of slumps forward, and you can see the shock. He's shaking. You can hear his breathing. He reaches forward, and you can see him pulling this ichor from his eyes. His eyes are opening up. Renyir, you look out blurred, and look up, preparing to die, for something horrible to happen, and you see Leaf and Arnung above you and realise it's probably...
I'm still going to die.
I hand him a wineskin.
Sniff it. It better not be oil.
Just bear with me 1 second, I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry, just go and deal with something. So he's conscious, he's awake. Is that a drink of wine?
Yeah, the taste in your mouth is vile, and yeah, though you take a sniff at it, you do gulp it down to try and, the first couple of mouthfuls spitting this thick slime that's coating your tongue and wrapped around your teeth, and then also to get away the taste, he takes 2 or 3 big gulps before Leaf, no doubt, instinctively gives him another one. Are you going to take it away from him?
No, you can have it.
This child has a penchant for constantly
No, you can keep
drinking
that.
far too much alcohol.
That's ruined.
Oh, God, yeah. Renyir lived to the ripe old age of 18 when he died of cirrhosis. What happened? Renyir, what happened?
I don't know.
Out with it.
Don't remember nothing.
No one will ever know.
Was he speaking in Spanish? I don't understand what he said. Me no nati. Or Italian all of a sudden. Me no nati.
No, it just came out as...
This isn't Renyir. It says Luigi.
Yeah.
What the heck? Right.
Slap him.
Yeah. You remember nothing? Can you walk?
He's got technical problems.
Oh.
He's trying to fix his mic.
We know he's got problems. It's not technical.
Yeah, I think he can still hear you though.
We know you've got problems.
I'm getting slapped. Oh, shit. He's definitely had enough.
Yeah, right, that's it. I'm not playing.
And while in front of you, he dies.
Stabbed him.
Someone just unplugged him.
Yeah,
He's restarted.
gone out of the Matrix. This is a bit like when you're in a like a really tense movie and they go, advert time. Do you suffer from vaginal dryness? Whoa, no, but that ruined the tension.
What's happened?
Too much tension for the
Behind a
Kane
technical
as well.
problem. I think
come
he was
back.
trying to talk and he's
Passed
not
out.
too much pressure.
I'm sick of this. I can't work under these conditions.
Like no one's understanding the muse I'm going through.
I don't get paid enough.
I'm trying my best characterization. What's going on? I'm not getting anything from the other principal actors. This is terrible. I can't work. If anyone wants me, I'll be in my trailer.
It's on the phone to his agent as we speak.
There was a message, this is where the game going. I seem to have been overconfident about my ability in the dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
Batman
funny.
Batman looking at Bane. And Bane going, you merely adopted the darkness. How we doing? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And we can hear you. And oh, that's wrong.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, no, that's
That's
wrong.
right.
That's so wrong. Ah. Ooh.
What?
Ah.
No.
Earthquake.
Oh, come on. No.
Ah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Hey. Okay. So, Renyir, you are conscious. You come forward. You spit out the bile. You take 2 or 3 invigorating gulps of this exquisite red wine, and then Framling and Framling's like, "What happened? What did you see?" Arnung's like, "Out with it, boy!" Leafs like one another.
No. All I remember is a massive eye filling the sky. That's all.
A massive eye filling the sky. Good wine.
Where was this eye? Was this in the tunnel?
In the sky.
In the sky. You actually saw sky.
Or we just had some weird crossover to another.
He seems to be. He's deeply shaken. He's went through an experience. Something's going on, and obviously what he's saying doesn't make sense that you were in a tunnel. But then again, he did disappear in a tunnel ahead of you, and you've just found him in can only be described as some kind of birthing sack or something that was affecting him. The amount of bile and corruption that came out of him, that was surrounding him, is something that clearly, Leaf Arnung, in your mind, clearly you've never seen anything like. Whether Framling has, you don't know. But what he seems to be saying, he obviously, he is potentially rambling, but he is deeply shaken. You can see it in his eyes. There is a fear there that wasn't there before.
Does he still have his injury?
Yes.
Right.
It's all right, boy. Everything's gonna be okay.
Have some more wine.
Drink.
Just drink.
I usually wash myself down.
You're amongst friends. You are safe.
Oh, I'm back. Okay. In this room, what have we got now? We've got the we'll call it the birthing pool for want of a better word. That's there. What else is around here?
An arch, wasn't there?
Yep. So there's an arch.
Is there any
Stone.
markings on the arch?
No.
Is it Dawi?
No, you've never seen this sort of stonework before. This carving,
Is it
the way it's been
is
designed.
it similar to the carving that I encountered under the back in the mists of time? The when I was in the dwarven tunnels under
Yes.
it is
Yes.
same thing.
Yep.
Is it big enough to destroy? Like, are we big enough to destroy it?
It could take some work, but it looks like it's destroyable. It is. The archway itself is, you would say, this is a vast chamber, yeah. Its height is around about 12, maybe 13 foot at its height, at the height of the arch. But its structure is about 30 foot across. This is how big this bowl is. None of you are stonemasons, but it does seem to defy its build. The way it's built, you just don't see how it's standing. It doesn't look. It's just out of proportion for any arch.
I reckon we should get out of this base.
Oh, I've allowed for the fact that you dragged him out.
Right.
You ran in there and pulled him all the way out. And Framling was obviously very cautiously made sure that there was still a good 5 or 10 foot away from it.
Great.
As you two are starting protectively, effectively over Renyir, you become aware of a different type of light. Your eyes are drawn, and you see Framling has a nimbus around him that you've seen only one time before.
I'm moving away from the brass bowl.
The sound of wet and slithering draws your eyes down as Renyir slides along the floor away from the brass bowl.
I pick Renyir up.
Okay. You see a black shot with purple instant. It doesn't form. It doesn't slowly appear. One moment the archway is empty, then suddenly you look upon a black vortex split through with purple. You see a silhouette appearing in it, as if walking towards you. In the blink of an eye. It's not that you see darkness rise. 1 minute it's there. You're looking through the arch into the membrane beyond, and then it's just this black swirling vortex of power shot through with purple, almost like lightning strikes, and this one silhouette coming straight out of it towards you. Powerfully built, tall, and still not cresting the event horizon.
I'll turn to the other three. Stay in the light as long as you can, but get away from this. There is nothing you can do.
Okay. Understood. We step back into the light, stay close to Framling.
Yeah.
Drag Renyir. Well, I've got him anyway.
Framling, as he says that, you step back. You see Framling looks like he takes a blow to the legs. 1 minute he's standing there, and then suddenly, as if something hits his legs, he slams into the floor, and then you see something pick him up and throw him back away from you. He tears through membrane. There's crackling of energy that bursts from him, and you see for a moment he's suspended in the air before he slams into the far wall. The membrane around you immediately explodes in superheated mess. You feel where it touches your arm and gets in, it burns your skin, but your adrenaline is up.
Framling!
You see somebody that's in that moment. Someone crosses the horizon. It looks like Framling in that moment, and then you realise there are differences. The hair is the same, the clothing different, far more brutal, but you can see the same blue tattoos, ancient and faded, are all over his entire body, but his eyes are jet black. He steps out as Arnung shouts Framling, and you see him, his hand comes forward, and you see as his hand comes forward, it's just a big nimbus of purple crackling energy, and nowhere near any of you, a good 30, 40 foot away. He's looking around the room as he comes forward. You can see sort of, what's happening. Looking for a target. And Arnung shouts, "Framling!" And his eyes focus on him, and you see him do as if a punch. There's no contact. There's no physical way he could. But in that moment, you see Arnung is punched straight, as if he's hit in the side with a tremendous punch. You see the back plate of his armour immediately is dented as if from a huge blow far beyond any weapon, and he's thrown forward, tearing through membrane, which explodes around him. Sacs erupt of pus across him, and he hits the floor and rolls a good 20, 25 foot away. Renyir, Leaf, what are you doing?
I thought I was with Arnung there, so
You were?
I thought I
You're
got
no longer, because
flung.
Arnung just, no.
No.
He picks you up, but he's been hit and you are dropped. Yeah, possibly you'll go a few feet as you hit the floor, slithering. In which case, really, Leaf, what are you doing?
Is he looking at us yet?
No, you've literally, in that moment,
I'm
he just went,
35
he's been
feet away
attracted.
from him.
You don't know how you don't know what he can and can't see, but Arnung got his attention. He turned to Arnung and he struck him. So he's basically goes, boom, Arnung's flying through the air. What are you doing?
I'm sneaking around the back that if he's not looking at us.
So you immediately tried to put some of this membrane between you and his visual, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Renyir, you hit the floor unexpectedly. Your natural instincts have your feet already kicking out. What are you doing? He's turning to look at you.
I'm getting out of the sight, so using the membranes as well.
Okay. You dive out of sight. Framling, you're a good distance away. Your senses come back to you. You know what
It is.
what was done to you. You know it's in the old tongue. It's known as the dark hands of destruction. Nobody that you knew of back in your day knew this ability, this power. And it is an incredibly high, a very powerful learning. You have to be of incredible power to be able to wield it in such a way. Never mind the fact that to use it twice in such fast, so quickly.
Right. Godric, if you ever have any help that you can give me, I need it now.
Renyir and Leaf, you hear him call that out. As you're moving around, as you're instinctively looking for what's the right thing to do against such a creature, having just been warned, get out of this. You note Framling isn't actually touching the ground. Where he went bursting through the membrane, he is actually hovering in a nimbus of power that crackles. It seems to almost ignite the ozone around him. What are your intentions? You're staying out of sight, or are you moving towards this thing, or are you trying to just get to Framling?
I'm trying to get behind him.
This thing, yeah?
It's like sneaking behind them
Fast.
as much as I can.
Yep, okay, you do so. As you do so, you can see that at the distance of the room, you can see the braziers are being snuffed out. You can see them as you watch. One's already gone, and then you watch it and it goes, and it literally, you can see just as if it's been saturated. The darkness closes in. The wisps that Framling has been controlling have all gone in the moment that he was struck. Through the gate, which is dominating your otherwise view, you see through the darkness. Sometimes it seems to thin out, almost vanish. What you see beyond are beggars belief, are flowers, exquisite gardens, white pillars supporting graceful arches, a pond. You can see clearly at one point the banners of the Emperor himself, the banners of Karaborg and Manfred Skavenslayer, the crown above the stag of above Ulrich's wolf motif, the sign of the Emperor in attendance.
I turn to the creature, as it were, and shout at it. I shout his name. I shout Vorodrim in the loudest voice I can.
As you've gained your senses and your vision clears, you can't see anyone, but you can't see Renyir, you can't see Leaf. Your mind focuses obviously on the threat itself, and you can see Arnung trying to stand. You can see that his armour is heavily dented. That sort of damage to that armour can only have been transferred into his body. His sheer will, anger and body seems to be the only thing that could have possibly have kept a man alive. The back armour is actually crushed and dented and cracked. That sort of damage, that metal being pushed in, could only have severely injured his back. He must be in pain, but yet you see, though struggling, he is attempting to rise, and he is close by and in front of you, between you. You shout, sorry, what did you... Vorodrim.
Yeah, Vorodrim. I shout his name.
As you do so, as Vorodrim was looking around, scanning for a threat, and his eyes had concentrated on Arnung, you see, you shout out Vorodrim, and he looks up. His eyes are, like I say, completely black, but you see them start to turn green and start to glow. You realise that he's drawn upon the power that was taught to you in the ancient days, known as the Eyes of Clarity. Again, well beyond who you know Vorodrim, his abilities were. It's known as the Eyes of Clarity. And you can see that with this sort of power, nothing is hidden from him.
Mm.
It's not necessarily the power you'd expect him to be pulling out, looking at Framling, the living, floating in the air, but you know that it means that nothing can be, or everything can be seen by him. He can see everything regardless of obstructions. It's the only thing, you know what this is by this glowing eyes. In response, that he draws upon this power, and you can feel it every much seemingly as much as your own. You can't help but feel this sort of there's just this sheer dark power emanating from him.
Mm.
You betrayer. The voice
is
a growl.
I betray.
He rises.
Look at
up.
you. Look what you've become, Vorodrim.
He rises up to be at the same level as you, effortlessly. Before I slay you, betrayer, I shall kill all of your champions that you thought you could bring to the void gate of our master. You obviously start hovering towards him, and he does so in kindness. As Arnung, you gain your feet and turn, you suddenly find yourself rising up, but you feel the armour around you suddenly getting crushed. You can feel that pressure immediately start pushing onto your chest. Framling, you can see the front arm and the back arm are crushed, and you can see there's just a slight turning of his eye, and you see that this is obviously Vorodrim, and he is actually crushing it. Simply with his mind, he is crushing Arnung. The only thing that has stopped the only reason he hasn't killed Arnung so far is that he's crushing the steel of the armor first. If he hadn't been wearing that, he'd have crushed these bones, pulverized him, and killed him almost instantly. You know, again, the power is known as bind. Then, out of nowhere, you see a blur of movement, and your mind barely registers a leaf who takes a jump, landing on a piece of toughened membrane, rising up into the air. You see his javelin is clearly in his hands, and he drives it straight into Vorodrim's back. It punches out through his left of his chest, and Vorodrim hits the ground almost instantly. Arnung hits the ground instantly, and he hits the floor. And in that moment, you can see that he is completely pinned through. Leaf, you land, I assume, and roll. Are you continuing in your movement? Are you getting
continuing the attack with the Vorpal blade?
So the javelin comes through. It goes straight to his chest. It drops him to the ground. The blade in your other hand. Explain. Give it. Tell us what are you doing?
Literally stabbing them as much as I can. I mean, that's my last kind of movement, isn't it?
Yep. I just like something a bit more descriptive. As the creature, as this thing hits the ground, he's kebab. The spears through his back and out of his chest. He hits the floor. You've got your free hand. You hit the ground and roll. You see he's landed behind you. You're still within range. You pounce. What's? Yeah, give us something.
Hacking at the back of his neck with my Vorpal blade.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. All right. As he hits the floor, you roll forward. The blade striking into the back of his neck. The blade completely passes through as a moment before contact. The creature vanishes with the spear. The javelin is also gone. Framling, to your left, you see the motion. He's behind Leaf. Leaf, you hear a keening sound of agony, but it is a good distance away from you. You immediately turn, and you're able, at the same time as Framling and Arnung, you sort of land. Your knees take it, and you already stand. Your front and back armour is completely smashed, but still strapped to you. You can hear this, Renyir, you can also hear this keening. Your all attention turns. You can see Vorodrim is standing there. He's got a little bit of a lean, as if the spear's like, ooh. Why he's screaming is, you see him pulling a dagger out of his eye that you didn't see thrown. And that is what he's going like, and he's pulling this thing out. You see the blood that flows from this wound that's flowing around the spear is thick and black.
Have I managed to close the distance during this time?
No, so that's me. That's instant description. Framling?
Yep.
So he was there, he hits the ground, and then suddenly he goes poof, and he's there. And you can see as he appears, he's still within your visual.
Yep. You didn't get the message? No, you didn't.
As the creature's going, Arnung, Renyir, Leaf, this prehistoric axe you hear it goes poof, and slams into Vorodrim's chest. At the same time as he staggers back with his axe embedded in his chest, the spear through his back, pointing out towards everybody, pulling on another dagger. It pulls his right hand away as another dagger silently comes out of nowhere and smashes into his right eye. He is literally staggering back, clearly. The axe is embedded in his chest, the spear is to him, and both eyes now have blades in them, one of which is partly out and he's still got a hold of it. But they are both deep. Each weapon is deep inside of him, but he doesn't go down. He staggers back. Arnung?
I'm going to launch my Victoria blade, compose myself. Watching all this unfold, I gather my breath, and throw my Victoria blade at his chest, aimed at his chest.
Okay. Taking that step forward, you hurl the said blade, completely blinded. He's unable to know clearly of any dangers coming. It would appear, Framling, that there is a slight weakness to the eyes of clarity when you've got daggers in them. And,
funny that.
This Victoria blade. What are you aiming for, by the way?
Well, am I able to? No, am I able to walk freely?
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't. His distance is outside of all of your immediate response physical range of closing. You could start to, but none of you could
Okay,
close the
so
distance.
I will start to move. So before I get into a run, my initial throw the Victoria blade at centre mass.
Okay, you kind of broke up for me. I don't know about them guys. I think I heard you start to run, you throw, because you've got two blades,
Yes, I throw one blade at centre mass and
while
I
running
start
towards him with the
whilst running
second
towards.
blade out.
Yeah.
Out of interest, which of the blades was it?
The smaller one.
No, you've got two of these blades. One belongs to you, one belongs to another. Is it your blade or somebody else's blade that you threw?
No, it's somebody else's blade.
Yeah? We are on the same page of who that other blade belongs to, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody else's blade. This is different. I can't remember this. It would be some.
blade do you mean?
You know,
Yeah.
Leaf
you mean-
immediately clocked. Why is he carrying two of these very epically rare blades? That's interesting. Well,
This
I've got
one's
another.
Alan's. Alan?
It says on the side, Alan's blade.
Do not throw.
Yeah, must never be thrown.
I do not throw Alan's blade. Ooh, which one was it?
Changes-
Oh crap! It was the wrong one.
It's the boomerang one.
Yeah.
Right, you take those. You start making those. Those smaller steps as you dive. You burst into into your sprint. You throw the Vaktari blade, one of the ancient blades, long since they're forged ability, long since forgotten to man, and the blade goes end over end. It's not a natural. a natural blade.
It's sideways.
Oh.
Hilted.
It's a clear stabbing blade. Never meant to be thrown. Like throwing a shovel.
It doesn't work like it does in the theatre. The blade strikes true in centre mass, and he is
Handle
punched
first.
back. He is punched back a good couple of feet. He reacts more to that blow than he did to all of them. His hand drops from the blade that he nearly had out of his left hand. He grabs it. Blood fountains from his mouth as you all hear. Leaf, I'm assuming at this point you would burst into full sprint as well.
I've been sprinting towards
Yeah.
them all this time, yes.
So for the moment that you heard the screech and you turn and you were aware, Renyir, obviously I know that what you were up to. Was there anything I need to be aware of that doesn't have a direct impact on this next bit?
No,
He's
I
a
was,
keen player of the lute.
I was just going to aim for like his shoulders and that.
So you're
Like trying to
pulling another blade. You hear as he staggers back, blood coming bursting out across his chin as this blade strikes him deep into his centre mass. You hear Framling shout.
Tal, Lord of Old Gods, take your filth back to the void where you belong. And then
There's you see the air between. None of you are actually looking at Framling, but you know where he is. From his location, you could see the air between this creature that he shouted Voradrim at. As it staggers back, you see almost a line passing you by as you are running. The air seems to warp. Almost a combination of as if sideways lightning mixed in with just the way the air boils and ripples, and it strikes Voradrim clearly in the head. The first thing that happens is he immediately, his hands drop on as this energy hits him. His hands drop from the blade in his chest. You see the skin blast, get pushed back from the skull, as if this blow is just tearing at the meat, revealing the lower layers. He's clearly human. You see the muscle and sinew pushed back until there's just a skull. What remains of his eyes boil. The daggers fall from him until what's left is this burnt and blackened skull. It's in such a speed that the body seems to stagger for a moment before collapsing on the ground as if strings cut from a marionette.
Is the disc still showing purple in the gate?
The gateway is still active, yes. You turn round and obviously look at that, but as you're turning, this is the fastest thing. Leaf, Arnung, you don't know what the hell this is and what the damage done to it. It kept on going. You have no experience with this sort of thing. Are you wishing to still continue on to make sure? Leaf's had enough.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's
He's
Tom
Cruise, isn't it?
The way he's talking, it might not be dead. I've had enough.
Yeah. You mean it's not dead, right?
Yeah.
No,
I'm still carrying on.
So
I was chopping its head off.
So you both continue on with
Yeah,
your
that's kind of be me
target.
goal.
Yeah. Framling, you look towards this portal, and standing on the other side, a figure is clear. The longer this portal is open, you realise that this darkness, the energy that forms this portal, vanishes almost. It becomes clearer, showing you the other side. You can see at this point the visage, as it were, keeps on moving, but at one point you can clearly see the backdrop of the Western Ocean. You realise that you are looking at Karaborg, but what truly catches your attention is you recognise on the other side of the portal Hakon standing looking at you. He's wearing crisp white robes, long sleeved. You can see a silver cap upon his head, but you can still see the tattoos. However, his hair is, unlike the usual tribal, has grown out long and is of a black streaked silver.
It's got. You said it's got silver on it. Like
He's looking through the portal.
Can we all
directly
see
at-
this?
Well, you both descend upon this body and stab it. So depending on what happens next, you will have a chance to look.
Well,
around.
I was just going to
Renyir, you see this.
go
Yeah.
over to the sword.
Yep, you're picking up the sword. Leaf, you actually overtake Arnung. You get to the creature. Your javelin is still sticking out of it. The Framling's axe is sticking out of it. 2 daggers are lying on the floor, and one of the ancient blades is also embedded in its chest. It is not moving.
All right, I'll strip all the weapons out of it and chop its head off.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. There is still muscle, tissue, and meat around
Yeah.
its neck. It seems that the blast, whatever Framling released upon it, hit it clearly in the head. Meanwhile, Arnung, you get there, you pick up the blade. Well, in this case, because of what it is, Leaf, no doubt you hand that blade over under the circumstances. You turn round. So Renyir, Arnung, you see this. Leaf, as you're doing the job, you look up. You see this person. It's not a creature, it's not a monster. You see this elegant aristocrat, haughty almost. His body, his physical structure, bear in mind Framling literally looks different to all of you. There's a slight structure difference to his body, his face mainly, his skull. There's a slightly different definition that you can't place where he's from. This man, not only shares the same tattoos that he has, is slightly but more similar to Framling look than he does to yourselves. He is calmly watching through the portal. You can see he is clearly standing on these bleach white stones in this columned archway behind him. You recognise Karaborg, the seat of the current emperor. Not physically his seat. And there's his chair.
So
Emperor's
am I at the side of the portal, in front of the portal?
You're clearly right
Bill-
in front of it.
I'm
So
right
we
in front
all
of the-
just stand next to Framling, looking into this portal, and we can see this figure.
Renyir is incredibly close to said portal. He's close to the bowl itself. You two are further away than anybody else. Or you're going to make, not casually, but you're going to walk
Yeah,
towards Framling. Yeah.
Yep.
next to Framling.
Yeah, we're
Okay. Okay. We're losing Ivan for a moment.
okay.
Sorry.
Nervous
Commercial
wee time.
break.
Nervous wee time. Too much. Do we carry on, or is he?
He just
Is he
said a
coming
sec.
back?
He said back in a sec.
All right.
Soz.
Okay.
We are close, so I'm
Do
aware of the
we
time.
carry on, or do you
Yeah.
want to?
I tell you what, you carry on, because I think what you're about to say and do will bear no relevance to what Leslie's going to dive through this portal, which would definitely go against everything that I'm aware of that guy. I don't think he's going to do it.
Hero sacrifice.
Yeah.
No.
Now
Leave
you
hero
know
sacrifice.
you know the particulars of this portal itself. The passage of going through the portal is extremely taxing. The
Yeah.
fact that Voragim came through and started producing these powers so fast, that's a wake-up call. And you look upon Hakon, and you know who Hakon is. But he is just looking at you as this develops. So effectively, in this, it's only been a second as you've just wiped Voragim's head off. So you've got the clear initiative in the sense of what you wanted to say and do.
Okay. So, Hakon, we meet after so many years.
I was once Hakon. His voice is cultured. It's not brutalized. It is very much Western Empire. While you've been making your way towards Framling, he looks into the portal at this figure and sees Hakon, who you've met after so many years. The figure. I was once Hakon, but I have long been Achilles, far longer, and you will address Achilles. Everyone believes you to be the great threat. Ivrig bends his entire will for over 1,000 years. Many lives have been spent to find you, and yet it seems you seek your own destruction, Framling. Because that is what you now call yourself, is it not, Ulmacor?
You do realise that the threat is not from me, a mere servant, but the threat is from Tal,
You always put
the ever-living god.
You put such stock in the old gods. Yet they do nothing to help. They might help you, Ulmacor, but I follow a god that helps all of his worshippers, and we are far stronger than you.
You have no place in this world. Tal rules this world with a benevolent hand. Sometimes it can be strong, sometimes it can be perceived as cruel, but it is benevolent. What you seek to bring is abhorrent. It's change. It's change without end. Tal won't stand for that. I won't stand for that. And you will be defeated. You know it to be true.
We already rule your empire, Ulmacor. You're just not quick enough to notice. Renyir, kill the betrayer. Renyir spins on the spot and throws a dagger straight at you. It evaporates near your forehead. He then pulls another blade, his face contorted in hate, takes a couple of steps forward, starts drawing back, and then stops, and you see his eyes open. And he's looking at you, no doubt at this point, in absolute terrific fear. Lucky enough, Leaf and Arnung haven't reacted. You see Achilles smile. Just a taste. And then he turns, starts to walk away, and you see the darkness of the portal starting to obscure the light.
Is the portal? Is it still the plane still there? It's still active.
Yes, it is.
It's
But
still
it's
open.
closing. But it's closing as you watch.
Oh, right, okay. I'll move over to Renyir and sort of grab a hold of his arm with it's got the knife.
Just before you reach him, he throws it at the portal,
Oh.
and you don't see it pass through the portal, but you hear him go, and you look down and see it bedded deep in his chest. And we'll leave it there.
Whose
I
chest?
didn't do it.
You see
I was gonna say-
Renyir do that at the retreating figure, and as it passes the event horizon, he suddenly goes in your arms. You're reaching out. He suddenly goes, "Ugh!" And you look down as he falls into your arms, and you see the same blade is stuck in his chest.
In the center of mass, heart, guts.
Sternum.
Oh. Right.
We'll leave
That's
it
gonna. That's gonna smart.
But it's a shallow
You know
blade.
what? I'm sick. I'm just sick of him. You know what? He deserves it.
Renyir is absolutely slimed up. He's just blinded one of the most powerful creatures' enemies.
And now he's gonna get a bollocking.
Did try to be rebirthed by mindless void creatures, and now has a dagger up to its hilt in his chest. Arnung standing there with a chest plate and back plate crushed by giant hands. Leaf, on the other hand, is like, okay, I've got a bit of claret around my legs. Framling just got thrown around a bit. That's never happened.
No.
But Vorodrim at least is dead. There's a victory here, but possibly a couple
Sort
of
of.
lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sort
don't-
of.
Interact with the demigods.
No, just follow simple instructions like don't run off into the darkness.
Like, you're protected as long as you're in the light. Right.
Yeah, and don't throw blades at shit you don't understand.
Well, I don't know. That was pretty effective.
Oh, yours worked okay.
Yeah.
But maybe you didn't try and throw it to kill us.
No, we'll halt. I've got to ask. When you were doing that, was that just an instinctive bastard can't see me if I blind him? Or was that, wait a second, he's got some abilities. I wonder if I could take that away from him.
No, it was more like fucking using me again, so I'm throwing it.
No, I'm talking about the first time when you were throwing daggers all over the place like a lunatic, like a Mexican knife wielder. And
yeah.
you hit Vorodrim in the eyes with both, because you obviously, never mind Renyir, had no idea what the hell Eyes of Calamity are, but it was just a simple fact that was
Glowing green target.
Well, I obviously don't know what any particular guys are going to do, and obviously I thought straight away, fantastic. When I'm expecting Framling to do something extremely like bollocks. 100% maximum effort, no matter what it costs. When you come across something like this, for Leaf to suddenly come out of nowhere, have some of that, Mister. I'm hiding behind Arnung. Suddenly, this shit needs me. I'm getting in on this. Pins him. Unfortunately, wasn't able to draw the blade across him. Obviously, Arnung, you're getting punched and kicked, because why wouldn't you? I just, it's from my point of view, I'm aware of what this thing is and what it's capable of doing. But when it gets punched around like a pin, like a pinball, and then Framling ends it with, "Yeah, I've had enough of this. I'm going to boil its head."
I should have specified when I sent you the message that I was actually going to backstab him with my Victoria blade, though.
I know, but I suddenly had you, 300 style.
Yeah, right, okay. I can live with it, though. We've
Yeah.
won.
Well, it definitely put him on a back foot. The daggers in the eyes clearly had put him off a bit of his stance, but again, there's Leaf and Arnung have survived a clear interaction with a creature. Now, from their point of view, is this Jornaru? Was Vorodrim a title? What is the Vorodrim thing? Is this what Framling was worried about? But clearly, they are incredibly hard to kill. The Victoria blade was definitely something that attracted its attention. Because, he's been stabbed in the eyes. People don't generally go, both eyes! With a spear through them. That's kind of like, you're closing in on something that's only slightly put out, but you get the feeling if it's pulling the knife out and ignoring this 6-foot piece of shafted wood through his chest, we've got a problem. And then he's like, yeah, bugger that. But, I'm always interested to see what Framling's going to do. I'm going to boil its head. Fair enough. That's not what he said, obviously. He called upon Tal, and that was some serious mojo.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think that's necessarily going to work against Achilles. Like, no, I'll just do that. Oh.
Hi! Well, he's clearly just been able to transfer the attack Renyir put on. Was that a moment of stupidity on Achilles' behalf? Did he give away something there?
He
Well,
did. He did. And we can always get another Renyir.
poor Hulk sitting there going, "Am I dead? I've got to wait a week. Shit!"
There's plenty of urchins around the streets. I don't know,
Yeah.
with that kind of accuracy on the daggers, though, we might be a bit of a loss.
Not drunken ones though. Not the ones with such a really bad alcohol problem.
Yeah,
They'll be difficult.
which you've all been supplying them with.
Yeah, that's right. Been enabling him.
Enabling them.
I think we can say that this
So
thing
that was
got-
a good session, though. That was a really
well, I
good
think
session.
that this thing
Tense.
escalated. It went from tense to, oh my god, when the first thing that you hear when you come up and you go, okay, this portal's starting to form. And Nevin, Framling goes, you can't face this. I'm picturing straight away Gandalf with the Balrog going, yeah, effectively what I'm trying to say is get the fuck out of this one. And then the first thing that happens is he's like, everyone back off. And you guys are like, fuck this shit, poof. Arnung's never seen the Framling flying through the air, bursting through membrane walls.
Well, exactly. It's just like, well, you just can't do anything about this, and the next split second is seeing Framling get thrown around like a little bitch, and it's just like, well, what good are we? Literally, what good are we? Why are we even here?
Should we run away? Yeah. I think that's what he said. That his last message was to run away. I'm sure that's what we can tell everyone.
Yeah, and Arnung didn't even get a chance. As he sees you hit, he goes, Framling! Oh, I got its attention. The T-Rex now noticed me. Meanwhile, the two real sneaky Renyir Leaf are like, exit stage left and right. Sod this.
Well, to be fair, and when Arnung did shout Framling, it was more like shit. Yeah, I'm concerned for Framling. But then when it looked at me, I was like shit.
Should have said that quieter.
Oh
In my
shit!
mind.
I didn't realize that it could notice me. This was just a secret thing between Framling and this thing.
Was that my outside voice? Oh.
Shit.
So,
I'm gonna get it.
David, what do you reckon what was the sort of instinct of Framling when he recognised what was coming through? Was he still, this is an Elak? You know what Voragem was? Or?
No, not at all. That's what I was saying. Like, and when I said it was stay in the light, as in exit, but go. There's no point in you being here. You can't do anything. How wrong he was, of course. But that was the idea. Is like if Akon's coming, if Voragrim's coming through, and he's coming through this portal with no problem at all. He's not being birthed. He's striding through. So I was like, Godric, old friend, you got anything?
Well, that's the thing. This is the shame.
I've been out of this for a while.
There's a couple of out of game moments that go on that I know everybody's experienced. Where it's one of those things where this is the out of game moment. You can share some of this as long as it's not plot destroying. So you can, if you think that it would help with them understanding when you sort of go, Godric, I don't want to give anything away without your permission.
No. But anyways, it was the point where he was calling on all his reserves and calling on everything, even to the point where he's thinking, Dad, where are you?
I need help here. But of course, Godric spoke. That's the thing I was.
He did, yes.
That's it. Oh, okay, problem.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a second. Very good. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
It's the rest of us are thinking, going, hang on a minute, what does Framling actually do? All he ever does is call his dad and his mates.
Yeah, that's right.
he's just the little guy in the corner with a mobile phone.
I'm going to get me dad.
I'm going to get my axe back. What happened to my axe?
I looted it for you.
Yeah, Leaf.
All right.
That was Leaf's instant right. I'm going to cut this fucker's head off, but I want everything off it. He's going to come back with Voragrim's rings, a cool-looking chain, and if asked where'd you get them, always had them.
What was that?
I'm going to get loads of money for his skull.
And a necklace of teeth. Did you always have that? Yeah.
I've got his heat in a bag.
We always had those wings.
Bit of a trophy taker, Old habits die hard.
But, yeah, I mean, from Framling's point of view, of course, Nevin, that's after 1,000 years, that's two 2 down now, isn't it? Arnung, we've seen 2 of these things killed.
Yeah, in his lifetime, yeah.
You know,
Well,
Yeah.
killed? Well, one of them technically not killed.
yeah, one of them is haunting a fireplace.
You know what? Got to make it. We have to make it our business, right? If this the very last session, we've got to go and pay this thing a visit.
Or have a barbecue. Sit around
Yeah.
eating and drinking. How you doing?
Hi, we meet again.
Jibber,
So
jibber,
we've killed
a
all your
wibble.
mates.
Yeah, just sitting there going, a wibble. Okay,
Yeah,
I think
We've
Armidas has
brought
lost
along
his shit.
We'll brought along a blacksmith who's just going to like spend time hammering a like ting ting. Stop that! Ting.
Get away from us!
Yeah, would like a full set of shoes, please, for all our horses. And we'll just be in the bar, in the old deserted roadhouse. Well, in the background, ting ting. ting. Oh!
Eternal damnation to all of you. Halt. Obviously, Renyir. What happened there? The first thing, I think. Do you think that was a possible? Do you think it was an oops moment for Renyir to dive into the darkness and not stand in the light and just throw his dagger into said darkness?
Especially when I just said, "Let's stay in the light."
Oh.
Like, let's stay in the light because we're safe here. No,
I
no.
wasn't really hearing
I'm
anything.
gonna go to the very edge and then disappear.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't hear that, the warning. I mean, I think ultimately, from Holt's point of view, and obviously you guys are like, you've all experienced where characters do get killed. So before I go back to Holt, was there that moment of doubt in your guys' heads of going, oh shit, Renyir might be dead? Or
No.
was
Oh,
it-
yeah.
Yeah?
Well,
Or
No.
you might be dead now.
I mean,
Might be
it
dead now.
was a
Dead.
monumental mistake, but if you didn't hear it, kind of
Yeah.
like it's not a mistake, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
And obviously was having technical problems just before it happened, just after it happened as well. So he didn't pick up on the light was key, you know.
I thought that technical problem was deliberate. He was going to come back as a new character.
See, you thought, yeah, there's a message there. Renyir's dead, and then this door opens, and this barbarian comes out with a showjacks. Right, lads, what's
oh
up?
yeah, you
Killed
see
you
me
all.
brother Renyir.
All right, lads.
What's the crack? I mean, obviously,
A
I
man
know.
covered in torches.
What's your job? Oh, I kill slithery creatures in the dark that can go in and out of walls. I don't suppose you've seen any. Well, that's cool. That's cheers, tell. I mean, Holt, obviously, I didn't give you anything. You suddenly, you were in the darkness, and then that was it. You were gone. Were you worried Renyir was dead? But I suppose really, yes, will be the answer. How did you pick up on you being the one in the cocoon before Framling went? Shit, that's Renyir.
I picked myself was going to be somewhere up ahead.
So did he get sucked through a wall?
Maybe's Achilles has done you a favour. Maybe's the alien that's in your chest is being killed by the knife.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually did me a favour there. I have to leave it in, mind you.
For life. Well, that's the thing. We've got a big decision to be made here. This is obviously a mortal wound. Yeah. This is going to be the last thing because I know. I want to shut this down now. We're hitting midnight. This is a mortal wound. Obviously, not everybody here is powerless. Some could be. There's got to be a decision here to. This is the epic moment here where people have to. Do the step up, or is it like, oh well, you had a good life, all 15 years. We're going to wait and see how next week pans out, because Renyir's been shouting a lot. A lot of Ronalds out there, and will Ronald show him favour? What will happen next week? Or as everybody's
Is he
been
capricious?
told, as the viewers have been told, characters will die.
Yeah, he's going to go. Yeah, you're doing well. Time's up. Come back.
Yeah. Well, you had a really good long 15 years. Crack on. Well, lads, thanks very much. I enjoyed that. It was a good distraction. I hope you guys did. It was a different speed. I know we didn't get anywhere near as much time because of various things happening. Next week, is pivotal. You know, it's you can feel that. You know, we're getting to that last episode of the season sort of feeling. Bring your A game, bring your war face, and enjoy being introduced to Holt's new character. I mean, hopefully he'll find a way to save Renyir in the middle of this war zone with a 6-inch blade through his sternum.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys.
I am
Alright.
gonna call it, lads. I'm gonna put it straight into the end stream. For you watching, please follow us all on YouTube. Please look back through all this, and please tune in for the last episode of the season next week. Guys, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
And I
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good night,
ta-ta.
everybody.
Ta-da.